Okay, good morning all. How are you this morning? Good. Cold. Okay, let's just resume with our example that we're looking at. This was example 2. So we left off with the 1000 watt strip heater. Okay, the next item on the list is 1000 watt range. Oh no, 1 by 15 amp socket outlet. So let's continue from there. Okay, let me just write down the remaining equipment. So we have 1 by 15 amp socket outlet, 1 by 10,000 watt range, 1 by 4,800 watt water heater, and finally 1 by 3,000 watt tennis court lighting. Strip heater, we looked at that it fell in group B1, right? Now 15 amp socket outlet. Anyone? If you look at the table C1, 15 amp is here, where the electrical installation includes one or more 15 amp socket outlets. So this is B2. Okay. Now 10,000 watt range. Okay. When power is given, we first of all just calculate the current, right? So 10,000 watt range. Anyone can find the current? (41.67 amps). Okay, let's just go back to table C1. So we have ranges in group C, and the rated at more than 10 amps. So it directly falls in group C. Now 4,800 watt water heater. Anyone? We get 20 amps. Okay, now let's go back to table C1. For the water heater, we have You can see there is water heaters here in group J, but the thing is it is combination with the socket outlet, okay, more than 10 mm N socket outlet. Here it doesn't specify N socket outlet, so we will be looking at normal storage water heaters, okay, group F. And finally, for the tennis court lighting, we have 3000 divided by 240. Anyone? 12.5? Get 12.5? Okay. So now this will be in group. Let's look at the table again. Now for this light, it doesn't say that it is shared by a community or anything, so we just look at lighting group A, and it is a outdoor lighting, and also it's exceeding 1000 watt, so we put down group A2. Now we have done our grouping, which was the most important part. Now it will be calculation, right? So we draw a table. Okay, we'll need a bigger paper. So in the table we have the first column as equipment. The second one would be load group, and then the calculation. And then we have single phase. Okay, this was for single phase. Let me just confirm if it is a single phase. A single domestic electrical installation. Okay, and we already know that for a house we have a single phase supplied for domestic. Okay, so what we do is we write down equipment that falls within the same group. So from the list that we had, 24 lighting points falls in group A. So we write 24 lighting points. Second one was 10 meter of lighting track. Now these are for group A1. Do you see any other group A1? Yes, there is 1 by 50 watt exhaust fan. Now for calculation, we'll be looking at points. Okay, we'll need to calculate the points, and then the current we'll write down in the single phase column. So this will be our first group. Now let's move on to, okay, let's do the calculation first and then we go on to the other equipment group. Now for 24 lighting points, let's just go back to the table. Now let's go and read these notes 4 and 6. We already know that lighting track are regarded as 2 points per meter track. That is clear for the lighting track. And it must be written somewhere here that the lighting will always, the number of lighting there is, those many points will be. Okay. So let's just write down for lighting points, it will always be 24 points. Okay. For 10 meter lighting track, it is 2 points per meter. That means it will be 2 times 10, which is equal to 20 points. Okay. And the 50 watt exhaust fan, now we'll be looking at the reasoning that we applied to have it in group A1, and the reasoning was note 5, right? Did all of you record when I was writing it down? Okay. The exhaust fan from note 5, and note 5 states here, a socket outlet installed at more than 2.3 meters above the floor for the connection of aluminum may be included as a lighting point in group A1. An appliance rated not more than 150 watts, which is permanently connected or connected by means of socket outlet installed at more than 2.3 meters above a floor, may be included as a lighting point. It means this becomes a point, a lighting point, right? So this will add as 1 point. So when we add them together, we get how many points? 45. Now for current, so now we'll be looking at this 45 value. Okay, we have done the sum, so we can just forget about this. Now just focus on 45. Now let's look at the table C1, how to calculate the current for load group AE1. So we are looking at single domestic, which is column 2. Here it says 3 amps for 1 to 20 points plus 2 amps for each additional 20 points. Okay, so here we have 45 points. That means the first 20 will be 3 amps. Okay, and then from 20 to 40 is another 20 amps. Sorry, 20 points. That is 2 amps, and then 5 points again will qualify as 2 amps. So 3 amps for the first 20, 2 amps for the next 20, and then we have 5 more, right? Excess of 5. We'll add again another 2. Anyone has any question on that? We have 45. So from 45, first 20 will be 3, second 20 is 2, and the remaining 5 is again it's exceeding, it's beyond 40. So it will fall in the next additional 20 or part thereof. Part thereof means anything above the 20 or below. So this 5 qualifies as the next additional point. So we have from 45 we have 3 amps plus, now this is for 1 to 20, and then 2 amps for the next additional 20 to 40 plus 2 amps for the 5 points. This is 7. So we write 7 amps for this particular load group. The next load is group B1. So let's just look up all the equipments that we labeled as group B1. So for group B1 we have 9 by 10 amps single socket outlet, again we have 8 by 10 amp double socket outlet. We have 1 by 1000 watt strip heater which belongs to group B1, right? Do you see any other group B1? No? Okay, let me just cross this 4th dash since there is no other equipment. Now we have to decide on the points. So the first one, 9 by 10 amp single socket outlet, that is group B1. Here we take 10 amp for 1 to 20 points plus 5 amps for each additional 20 points or part thereof. Here we have 9, that means it falls into the first 1 to 20 points. That means we take for 10 amps for 1 to 20 points, right? And this is not exceeding 10 amps. Okay, let's read these notes 5 and 8. Okay, sorry, we look at this column in the final when we add the groups. Okay, right, just like we have done for group A1. So how many points will 9 amps 9 10 amp socket outlet contribute? To find the points, here the socket outlet is regarded as the same number of points as the number of integral socket outlets in the combination. So it's the same number of points, that means we have 9 socket outlets, that means 9 points. Okay, so for the first equipment we have 9 points. Okay, for the next item it is 8 by 10 double socket outlet, that means we have 8 by 2, this is 16 points. And finally for the 1000 watt strip heater, okay, for justification of adding the strip heater into load group B1, we saw this note 9. Anyone remember? Okay, which is the permanently connected electrical equipment not exceeding 10 amps may be included as a in load group B1 as an additional point. That means this is one extra point. So this will be 1 point. Now we add them together, 9 plus 16 plus 1, 26. Yes, now we have to decide on the current. So for group B1, now we look at this column. Okay, group B1, 10 amps for 1 to 20 points and 5 amps for additional 20 points. We have 26, that means we have 10 plus 5, which is 15 amps. Okay, What's the next load group? We have covered A1, B1. Now it's B2. Okay. Group B2. In group B2 we have 1 by 15 amp socket outlet. I think that's it, right? We don't have any other item in this group. Now to determine the points, so the total point will be for B2 So let's look at 8 and 10 to determine the number of points. Okay. As we saw before that, for socket outlets, there will be same number of points as the number of integral socket outlets. That means we have 1 by 15 amps. That means number of point is just 1. All right. So we have 1 point total. And again for 1 point, we'll take the 10 amps. The next group is group C. What falls in group C? The 1 by 10,000 watt range. And how do we calculate the current for this particular equipment? Group C. Let's look at group C. Now this is 50% connected load. All right. So you will come across either totaling the points or calculating the percentage of the connected load. So it's 50% connected load. That means we have to first find the current. Current we already know, which is 41.7. So that is 50% of 10,000 divided by 240, which is 50% of 41.7. That's just multiplying by 0.5, right? So 0.5 of 41.7, 20. Okay, let's just say 20.8 amps. Next group is group F. In group F we have 1 by 4,800 watt water heater. Okay, let's look at group F. Full load current. So we calculate the current, and whatever current we get, we add it to the phase. So that is 4800 divided by 240, and this came to 20 amps, right? So we just add it to our column of for single phase, 20 amps. Now we are left with the final load group. There is group A2, and the item we have here is tennis court, 1 by 3000 watt tennis court lighting. Now for this particular load, let's see what current value we take. So here A2, this is 75% connected load, right? So this is 75% of 3000 divided by 240, which is 0.75 times, I think we calculated before, it's 12.5. So 75% or 0.75 times 12.5, 9 point. So we can just take 9.4. Okay. Now going back to our original question, it was to determine the maximum load, say the maximum demand, and maximum demand will be in form of current. All right. So we do a total here. So what is the total current we get? We add all the single phase column, right? We had 7 amps for the group A1, 15 amps for group B1, B2 is 10 amps, group C is 20.8, group F is 20, and finally group A2 is 9.4. $82.2. So this is finally our maximum demand for this particular arrangement. Okay. So you have some idea of how to calculate maximum demand, right? I think we will be able to only look at this example. Once we come back, then we'll move on to example 3, where we are given load for the 3 phases, okay, and we'll be required to find the most heaviest phase, right? Now you are supposed to do a lab on this. Okay, any questions?